Welcome back to the Befriend course. In today's episode, I'm going to explain how I start conversations with complete strangers and sometimes turn those brief interactions into long-term friendships. I do this regularly because I travel often, visit unfamiliar places, and need to meet new people. Over time, I have developed a simple 5-step method that makes the process feel natural instead of forced. Step 1 is to pay attention to two things: distance and eye contact. When it comes to distance, I normally speak only to people who are already close to me, usually within 1 or 2 meters. At that range, they can hear me without me raising my voice, and the interaction feels spontaneous. Good situations include standing beside someone in an elevator, sitting near them on a bus or train, or waiting next to them in a line. The second signal is eye contact. I usually begin a conversation only after the other person looks at me, even if it happens for just a moment. Eye contact is a small form of communication. It shows that the person has noticed you and is aware of your presence. If someone is sitting in a cafe with headphones on and is completely focused on a laptop, I will probably leave them alone. They seem busy, and I do not want to interrupt them. But if someone is casually checking their phone, looking around the room, or staring into the distance, they may be more open to a friendly conversation. When a person is nearby and briefly makes eye contact with me, I move to step 2. I ask where they are from. This question works well for me because I grew up in New York City, where people come from many different backgrounds. I also travel frequently and meet people from around the world. You can adapt the question to your environment. If most people in your area have a similar background, ask, "Which part of the city are you from?" I have used this kind of opening thousands of times, and I have almost never received a bad reaction. It is simple, friendly, and gives the other person an easy topic to discuss. Once they answer, I move on to step 3. Step 3 is to share something you know about their background, and then ask a question that encourages them to explain more. About a year ago, I met a taxi driver in New York who told me he was from Bhutan. I replied, "That's interesting. I've never met anyone from Bhutan before. I've heard it is one of the happiest countries in the world. Is that really true?" Notice what happened. I mentioned something I had heard, then followed it with a question. This gave him an opportunity to share his own experience. I was not asking only to keep the conversation alive. I was genuinely curious and wanted to learn something new. That curiosity also helps later. The next time I meet someone from Bhutan, I will already know something that most strangers may not. Here is another example. While traveling in Europe, I once spoke with a Nigerian man who told me that many of the smartest and most ambitious Nigerians eventually leave the country. After that, when I met other Nigerians, I sometimes mentioned what he had said and asked whether they agreed. A comment like that can sound bold, so your tone matters. I was not presenting it as an absolute fact. I was repeating something another Nigerian had told me and asking for a different perspective. Most people responded positively, and many laughed before sharing their opinion. You may have noticed that I am willing to take a few conversational risks. I sometimes ask questions or make observations that are more direct than what people normally say to strangers. The principle is simple. When you speak with honesty and a little courage, you often appear more memorable and authentic. Of course, not everyone will like a bold question. Some people may feel uncomfortable or disagree. That is normal. You do not need to connect with every person you meet. It can be difficult to build a relaxed friendship with someone if you constantly feel that you must censor yourself around them. People who enjoy your curiosity often become comfortable quickly because they realize they can speak freely around you. If you prefer to avoid risky topics, that is completely fine. You can still meet many people simply by showing sincere interest in their lives. The goal is not to shock anyone. The goal is to create a genuine exchange instead of asking empty questions. After discussing where they are from, the conversation can naturally move in many directions. I might ask what they do for work, how they feel about the city or country we are in, what brought them there, or what they think about current events. This third step may last 1 minute or an hour. It is where most of the connection is created. You are learning about each other, discovering shared interests, and deciding whether you actually enjoy the interaction. If I like the person and believe we would have a good time together, I continue to step 4. If not, I simply wish them well, say goodbye, and continue with my day. Step 4 is very straightforward. Invite them to do something. If I am visiting a city with an active nightlife, I may ask whether they want to get a drink later. In a quieter place, I might invite them to have lunch, dinner, or coffee. The invitation does not need to be complicated. A simple suggestion is enough. Being enjoyable to spend time with is mostly an extension of Step 3. It depends on listening, asking engaging questions, sharing stories, and keeping the conversation interesting. We will explore those skills in future episodes. Once you have invited the person and arranged to meet again, there is only one final step. Step 5 is to use their name the next time you see them. You only need to say it once. Using their name shows that you remembered who they are and that the first conversation mattered. When someone hears you greet them by name, they often think, "Wow, this person actually remembered me." There is no need to repeat their name constantly because that can sound unnatural. One sincere use is enough to make a strong impression. And that is the full process. Pay attention to proximity and eye contact. Ask where the person is from. Become curious about their background. Invite them to spend time with you, and remember their name when you meet again. That is how a short conversation with a stranger can become the beginning of a real friendship. If you want to learn more about meeting people, building confidence, and improving your social skills, watch the other episodes in the Befriend course and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned